Welcome to Spirit Trek. I am Sage, and I will be discussing the hardest part of my awakening journey. And you might be able to relate to what I've gone through yourself. Let's talk about it. So it's story time. So 5 or 6 years ago, I began what you would consider the awakening or the enlightenment process. And this consisted of me questioning everything. I questioned my religion. I questioned who am I, where am I, what am I? What is this thing that we're in? What are we doing? What am I doing? And it was a really amazing time, a really scary time, a really beautiful time, a really confusing time. All these contradicting poles of reality all in one process, one awakening experience. And what was so interesting about it is that during this process, I entered into one of the hardest times of my life, not because of the fact that I was awake. I mean, being awake is great, but because of the fact that I had unveiled so much dirt, so much illusion in my personal life that I no longer knew who I was or what I was doing or why I was doing it. And this is the hardest part of most people's awakening process. And to me, it's not discussed enough. You see, when you wake up, it sounds great because yes, you're waking up. You should wake up. You want to be able to see what's happening. You want to expose the truth. You want to be free and liberated, right? From the illusions and the matrices and the bounds of society. This is amazing. But what they don't tell you is that when you wake up to these truths, you now have to throw away the old self. You now have to look at yourself in the mirror and say, well, damn, okay, well, if that's not true, then who am I now? So what ended up happening is I learned that my religion made no sense and it didn't feel good to me. I learned that my major that I was in, the path that I was choosing for myself wasn't really ideal and didn't align with my true self and what I really wanted for my future. I learned that the people that I was around, the lifestyle I tried to fit into, the way that I tried to behave wasn't aligned with my true self either. Learned so much illusionary nonsense in my life. I learned what was real, what was false. And in doing so, it was tough because I had a choice to make. Do I stay with how I used to live and how I'm seeing life now? Or do I move forward and take my newfound truths and move from there and try and better myself and create my reality that fits what I now know? This is tough because when you stay, it's much easier. When you're able to stay with the old, you're comfortable, you're able to say, okay, well, I'm already doing it, let me just finish it, right? When you transition to the new and try and get to the truth and live with the truth, it's tough because you have to let go of everything else. You have to start over, you have to begin anew. Let go of friends, let go of relationships, let go of ways of living, lifestyles, beliefs, all of that. That's really hard. And moving forward, it feels like, hey, what am I gonna do? I have to start over. But it was exciting because it was a new start. That's how I got through it. I realized that, hey, although I don't know who I am right now, well, I felt good. I'm DeAndre. Okay, cool. But in terms of where do I fit? What do I believe? What do I think for myself? What do I know? I had nothing. I didn't know anything. But I was excited because I knew that by unveiling these truths and by seeing things as they were, I was able to build a better life for myself and to become something better or even more grand than I currently was. Grand, yes. And also know that the truth, what is real for you at least, will always be there. And once you recognize it, once you realize what it is, it will stay with you. So if you decide to stay with your old way of living, if you stay with those old beliefs, those old people, those old ideas, those old lifestyles, if you stay with that and you know within yourself that that is not your truth, that is not what is best for you, you will be haunted by that idea. You will be haunted internally because you have not made the decision, you have not taken the steps, you have not embraced the bravery needed in order to better your life. And yourself is not going to be happy about that. Yourself that knows the truth, the self that knows where you need to be, will not be satisfied. I think the hardest part in that uncertainty period, as I want to call it, was my religion. I was very Christian growing up for my entire life. I was, to the T. I believed in all of it. I was for it, prayed all the time, was in it. And when that was let go, I realized that religion made up so much of my reality, how I thought, how I lived, how I, carried myself around others, my beliefs and morals, and the way that I treated other people was founded in the Bible and teachings of Christianity. And it was tough because I felt very convicted. The idea of conviction of, you feel guilty or you feel afraid more than anything, really, fear of, the wrath of God, of going to hell, of what could happen to me if I don't, follow, like, am I going to be okay? What if they are right? What if, Jesus is the Lord and Savior and all these things? And I just had to trust myself and realize, hey, listen to your voice. What do you feel? How does this make you feel? And if it's true, I'm sure you'll come back to it. If not, then I'm sure you'll find something better or more suitable for you. And I did. And eventually the conviction went away. Eventually I felt very confident in myself. I felt very confident in my journey. And although I do see value in Christianity, it was not, and it is not for me, period. Or really any religion for that matter. It's very constricting, very binding, and there are many games being played in these religious systems, but that's for a different conversation, a different day. So if you are in this state of awakening or enlightenment and you feel like you don't really have a firm grasp on your reality or what's next for you, if you feel confused about what to do next, a little scared even, it's okay. Just relax into it. Realize that because you do now have a new way of seeing the world around you, that because you are now in a new truth or a new way of, like I said, seeing the world, that the future will be brighter. The future will be more, will hold more potential for you. And that is to be looked forward to. And realize that this phase, this period of uncertainty will not last forever. It took me some time. It took me maybe a couple of months or even over a year, I would say. It's hard to really look back at it and get an exact time. But maybe a year or so of just learning new things, trying new things, questioning, breaking down my internal issues and my internal baggages, deprogramming myself and learning certain ideas and philosophies and ways of modes and thinking. It took me a long time, and I'm still doing it to this day. But after a while, you get used to it. It becomes who you are now and becomes a way of living. The freedom of expansion and the freedom of learning becomes a way of living, and you will be okay. So yeah, that was the hardest part of my awakening process. Dealing with the uncertainty and dealing with the foundationless new reality that I enter into. Letting go of the old and walking into the unknown new. And the unknown new that I am now in and now unveiling every day is beautiful, and it was worth the effort and the struggle that I dealt with years ago. So I hope and wish you the very best fortune in your journey. I hope that you are dealing with it as best as possible, and if not, I'm sure you will be just fine. With that being said, Wholeness family, much love. Please subscribe to my channel as I'm constantly sharing, constantly learning, constantly loving. And take care.